Your dreams are not dead. You have not failed. This is just not your season. I start off today's Shane Talks with that at the forefront of my mind because we're all going through a challenging season. Quite literally, winter, in my opinion, is one of the most challenging seasons. But when I talk about seasons, I'm not talking about the seasons of the year. I'm talking about emotional and physical seasons. Now, we all have them, whether or not we want to admit it. Maybe we haven't clearly seen these before, but there are always going to be times when you're having your summer, because most people enjoy summer, right? Like, obviously, you pick your favorite season here as to how this would work or apply to you. But for me, summer is my favorite season. It is when I get to get out into the sun. I get to express myself. Things just seem to flow. There is a different energy in the air. Life is not as stressful as, say, winter, when I wake up to bitterly cold mornings and seems to be more gloom and doom in the air than usual. That's just my take on the world and the season. So bear with me. And if you like winter more than summer, flip this around. But anyway, my point is this. Your dreams are not dead. You have not failed. This is just not your season. That's what I wanted to bring up to you today in Shane Talks. Now, the reason it is because at the moment, a lot of people are feeling lost, feeling depleted, feeling left for dead, so to speak, in their careers, in their emotional endeavors, in their partnerships. Some people aren't even able to get out there and meet people. There are people out there who are single and they can't even communicate with their loved ones, let alone meet new people. And so it's really challenging for a lot of people. This is a season that we are all living through, that we are all trying to figure out our way through, that is super challenging. And it's a reminder, though, because we can lose hope, we can lose focus, and we can lose our way if we think all is dead. We think our dreams for a better life are dead. We think our dreams for a better chance at business, in our career, are dead. There are a lot of things that are happening in our brains and that are being backed up by what's happening outside in the real world that kind of match up, and it makes sense that a lot of people are feeling this way. But this Shane Talks is really a reminder to myself, because I need it. But again, I share the conversations I have with myself with all of you so that hopefully somebody out there can relate. And for me today, I'm trying to remind myself that yes, it is hard. We are in a lockdown. We are pushed into our homes. We are told that we are not able to freely express who we want to be as humans and what we want to do because, for safety, for good reason. That I understand, but that does not change the way I feel. I can logically understand a reason and a concept. I can get that. But that doesn't mean that my mind finds it any easier to adjust. That doesn't mean that my mind finds it any easier to accept just because you told me it's for safety, right? And I agree, it is for safety, but that doesn't make my brain go, cool, let's turn all those negative emotions off. Let's turn all that negative shit off. It's not going to be that easy. So this Shane Talks was for those of you who are out there who are struggling, who are finding it hard in this lockdown, who are feeling like they're not getting anywhere. And I kind of want you to remember that, like anything, right, there is I call like a cyclical approach to most things in life. Like there will be certain cycles and seasons that go by. Right now we're living in what I would call the frozen state, right? Hence the winter reference that I brought up, right? It is cold. Things aren't growing. Things aren't seeding. They're not progressing. They're not proliferating. We're not really seeing anything because every day is the same and we're not really sure when we're going to get out of this. But what I do know on the other side of winter is spring. Things start to heat up. The environment changes. The emotions change. The moods change. The things that were keeping us frozen start to melt away. Things get hotter. Our moods in other people change. It just starts to shift. And when that shift starts to happen, we notice it. And that is the time to then revisit a lot of our dreams, revisit a lot of our aspirations, our goals, because they were never dead like we kind of believed they were. They were just momentarily frozen. They were momentarily kept still and stagnant. And that doesn't mean that it won't flow again. It won't melt away. you do need to hang in there. You do need to think positively. You do need to find a solution to a lot of the problems. A lot of the problems I'm having is a lack of human connection. I'm finding that although social media has such a negative connotation associated to it, it has been a savior in this period of time. I am able to get on here as a podcast. I'm able to write. I am able to chat to everybody that I hold near and dear. I'm able to express myself. I'm able to use that platform to make myself feel better. Whereas if we didn't have it, I literally would have been confined to maybe my neighbors, and that would be it. And so there is a way around it. Try and use your social media for good. Try and use it as a way to pump people up. Don't use it as a soapbox to stand up and talk about whatever's going on, whether or not you're pro this or anti that. It's not about that. And if you start using it for those sorts of things, you're going to feel very deflated and very depressed really quickly. Really what you should be about doing is highlighting things in your life that are going on that stops the frozen stillness that this season creates for most of us. For me, it's really tapping into the laughter of Quinn. Like the other day, I was literally just fully absorbed in all that Quinn was doing. I was absorbed in her play. I was like chatting. We were talking. I was hanging out with her for like what was about 4 hours back to back, like just purely talking to a 4-year-old. And for me, that was really, really pleasing. It made me feel really good. There was a sense of connection there, and I was looking for that. And then you highlight that. I use social media to highlight that. I would film something that Quinn would do that would be funny in order to let somebody else see it, in order for somebody else to go, oh, like life's not all doom and gloom and the world is coming to an end and we're never going to get out of lockdown and all that sort of negativity. So one of the other things I wanted to talk about on Shane Talks today that helps with this is that although you may feel that things are slow and that are still and that they are stagnant and frozen and that it's not the season for your dreams to proliferate and grow and feel really good about things, you do have choice. And one of the things that I've given to our members at HF is I've given them 3 challenges. And it doesn't matter what those challenges are. That's for them. That's a members thing. They're going to get the advantage of being part of that community and getting those 3 challenges. But what I would push to you is to come up with your 3 challenges for yourself. What are 3 things that you could be doing to make yourself better than when you went into lockdown? Because just going into lockdown, just being asked to isolate doesn't mean that we have to regress as individuals. It means that we don't have to get lazy and slobbish and unhealthy. It doesn't mean that at all. It doesn't mean that we have to sit on our ass and do nothing. We are allowed to go out there for 1 hour of exercise, and we are allowed to do things around the house, and we are allowed to create and build and read and do all sorts of stuff. So we've got to find a few things in isolation that we can do to make ourselves feel better and things that are going to make us better than when we went in. I challenge you to find 3 things that when you started isolation, you really weren't that good at or you didn't have any control over. For me, I've been making 5 points every single day that I must get completed, and I was poor at that before isolation. I was poor. My mind and my behavior was kind of erratic. Sometimes I would make a list of things to do and get one thing done off it, and I had an entire day and I still only got one thing done, and there was no reason for it. I just couldn't control my thoughts and my time enough. Since being in lockdown, I have completed 3 to 5 things that were important to me every single day. And I do 3 to 5, and I made a post about the 8 things, and the 8 things is a perfect way of living, but you need practice, and I need to practice. I wasn't ready for 8. I thought I was ready for 8 points, and it turns out I was only ready for 5. And I was chatting to a friend, KC, about this, and she's the same. Sometimes we do too much, and sometimes then we get scattered. But anyway, the point is I want you to pick 3 things that before isolation you were not good at or that you knew that you needed to get better at, and you chose not to. And now when we come out of it, you are going to be better for it. And then that will create that spring-like feeling for your seasons. You know, the reason I bring up seasons is because of the frozen feeling of the moment right now. We're living in a moment where we feel frozen and confined. But then spring will get here, you know, and then we're going to start to open up, and then summer, and then autumn, and then winter rolls back around. And our life is very much like that, where we feel really, really good and motivated, then not so much, a bit gloomy and doomy, and then a little bit hotter and warmer, and then boom, We might have months of, 2 to 3 months of amazing progress in lots of areas of our life, our finances, our career, our relationships. Things might be just smooth, right? You can't put a foot wrong in a relationship. You might find love, and then we might have a winter where we feel like we're not with our partner anymore. We're not connecting. Everything's an argument, and we might be fall out of love. Like, that's why the seasons are there, and we go through a lot of this stuff. So if I can bring one thing to your attention in this Shane Talks, this 10 to 15 minutes of just chatter, is that maybe your dreams are not dead. The things that you wanted before you went into lockdown, the things that you were doing and working on and pushing for, and all the good that was happening in your life right before we went into isolation and lockdown, they're not dead. Don't believe that they are gone. Don't believe that they are not obtainable anymore. Just know that you have not failed this task unless you decide to fully give up. This is still something you can achieve. This is still something you can reach even in isolation. This is just not your season, and this is ending. This season will end. This period of isolation, this period of frozenness will turn into warmth and growth as well. It has to. They always say on right before the darkest hour, the sun is on the other side, like the light is on the other side of that darkest hour, the darkest point in your life, right before you start to see light again. And that is so true. And if you are feeling defeated, overwhelmed, and almost at your wit's end, like I have felt in the last couple of days, just know that on the other side of this is the opposite. It has to be. A pendulum swings both ways, guys. It's not just stuck in this one negativity zone. It is going to swing back. And when it swings back, you have to be ready to take advantage. You have to put yourself in a position of opportunity. If you were lazy and a piece of shit the entire lockdown because you were like, the whole world sucks and I'm a victim, when that opportunity swings back in your direction, when the world starts to heat back up again, you were going to be left behind, and that was your core. You gave in on your fitness, you gave in on your health, you gave in on your job, you gave in your connections, you gave in on so many things. You didn't keep it up, and now that pendulum is swinging back. That season, that tide has changed. There's so many analogies I can use. That stuff this is just life. It just changes, and it's going to change, but now you have to position yourself to take that opportunity on. So I urge you to stay focused and get there for when the world starts to open back up. Got that off my chest. Hopefully this was something that resonated with you, and hopefully you can share this, guys. We have an audience of about 20 to 30 people. We've been doing this for over a year, and the reason I feel like we're not getting out there is because it's not being shared enough. So if you could do me a favor, if you enjoyed this, if you got something out of it, and you want to share this message with others, please share it, write it on your Facebooks, share it on your Instagrams, do whatever you need to do to help me get out there to the masses so we can do this for every day of the week, and this becomes something that we can all share in every day. Until next time, guys, keep having fun, and hopefully one day soon I will see you in the gym.